following podcast is for informational purposes only. The contents of this podcast do not constitute tax, legal, or investment advice. Take responsibility for your own decisions, consult with the proper professionals, and do your own research.
That is why I'm doing this, because for me, the graph is not only a project. It's a necessity. It's a tool that the ecosystem needs. So we need to inform people.
GRTiQ podcast.
We are like astronauts floating in the space of time, lost between the past and future.
Welcome to the GRTiQ podcast. Today I'm speaking with Lorena Fabris. Lorena is a graph advocate and member of Graph AdvocatesDAO, and she's also hard at work at building and supporting the Spanish-speaking community of the graph ecosystem with Graph Espanol. In addition to her relentless contributions as a graph advocate, Lorena is a lawyer in her home country of Argentina, and most notably, she's a mom. And as with prior guests of the podcast, I'm amazed at Lorena's time and effort that she's able to contribute to the graph and how she's able to balance all of that with so many other obligations. During our interview, Lorena talks about her career in law, how she learned about crypto and the impact it's having in Argentina, how she first became interested in the graph during the launch of the Curation program, and the work she's doing as a graph advocate, member of Graph AdvocatesDAO, and leading Graph Espanol. As always, we started the discussion talking about Lorena's educational background.
I'm from Argentina. I'm from the Graph Espanol, the Spanish community. I hope this interview be a good interview for all the people in the ecosystem that maybe are not in the mainstream and want to know how we can build a community in other part of the world.
What can you tell us about your educational background, Lorena?
I'm a lawyer. I'm a business consultant in Argentina. I have a master's degree and I'm working on my PhD, but difficult to have a studying when we are working on the crypto ecosystem. Well, and in addition to that, I have a degree in political science. So that is my background. I had been working as a lawyer for many, many years, more than 20.
Why did you decide to pursue a career in law?
Well, I am always quite firm in my conviction and try to do the right things. That led me to study law and became advocate, and then to work as a corporate lawyer, as I mentioned before, for more than 20 years in Argentina.
So in addition to everything that you're working on, you're pursuing a PhD, you have a background in law, you're also a mom. And I'm just curious, as we get started here, this question about how you find balance in your life. How do you have a career in law, pursue a PhD, and then contribute so much time to the graph ecosystem? How do you balance all that?
Well, it's a difficult question to answer. It's an unstable balance. Crypto is 24 hours, 7 days a week. Saying being a mom, because you need to be mom all day, every day. So it's complicated. But I think all of us in crypto know that, okay, you are that and you know about that. In addition to that, I'm more and more commitment to the ecosystem that is hard to understand sometimes because it requires to travel, to have calls, have meetings, and I work with people from around the world. And maybe I have a call at 2 p.m. or maybe I have a call at 1 a.m. in the morning. So this is difficult. I firmly believe that the future of this industry will be benefit for future generations. And that includes my family and my daughter. So I'm very confident about what I do. And the difficult balance that I have in my life.
Lorena, when I talk to somebody like yourself that's balancing so many different things and working as hard as they are, I'm always curious about this question about conviction, where the energy and the drive comes from. So in your case, what's driving you?
I try to work very hard, and I'm very focused on what I do, and I'm very happy what I do, and I'm very proud of this new crypto ecosystem. For me, crypto is a niche industry. So I have the conviction of we have to work very, very hard to have this new crypto industry to a bigger industry. So, and in addition of that, I work a lot to educate people, focus on Latin America, of course, but focus in people that want to have another option in their life. It's not only for people, young people that had 20 years, 25 years that they are start living, but I'm focused on people that maybe more than that age, for 40, 50, that maybe want to have another options. Okay. And Latin America, we have a lot of needs. So I'm focused on try to teach people and try to give new opportunities. And crypto, we have a lot of opportunities in this new industry.
Is that what crypto is for you? Is this sort of a second opportunity, something for you to explore and introduce into your professional life?
Well, in fact, it's not a new opportunity. I love this kind of industry, this niche industry. So I start with crypto during the pandemic, 2020, and they give me. I love challenges, and for me, this is a challenge. Okay, and this, for example, in Argentina and Latin America, there is a lot of people, young people that want to live in other countries, want to live in other regions because of our needs, as I mentioned before. So I'm working try to avoid that migration of people. I want that young people stay in Argentina and stay with new opportunities. That is my focus. I don't have the need to be here and working a lot, but I love to do that. Okay, I'm trying to do things for new generations.
As you mentioned there, Argentina, for longtime listeners of the podcast, comes up all the time. You're joining me from Argentina. It's always listed as one of the most crypto-friendly countries in the world, certainly at the forefront of Web3. What makes Argentina so crypto-friendly?
A good question, Beyond. Buenos Aires is more than a crypto-friendly city. Beyond the crypto adoption due of the economy, okay, and systemic needs, as I mentioned, is all in Latin America, but in Argentina in particular. Buenos Aires is a technological hub that stands out about other cities. Many world-class projects came out of here from Buenos Aires, for example, Decentraland, Open Zeppelin, and many. And in addition to that, we have many core devs that are from Buenos Aires, okay? And there is many projects that are growing today. For example, I don't know, Mean Finance, they are working a lot from Buenos Aires and from brilliant people that working a lot. So there are many developers in different projects and working to create new projects. And that is very important. So we see two different parts of it. Needs, of course, and needs do that crypto adoption because of, I don't remember the name in English, because we receive money from other countries. So crypto is a easy way to receive money. And the other thing is because we cannot, because of political things and economical things, we cannot save money in, for example, dollars or euros. So people find crypto as a way of save money. That is neat. And the other way is because we have a lot of developers, and we have entrepreneurship, focus in entrepreneurship because they need to do that. And that is why I see the crypto Buenos Aires, in fact, is a technological hub. That, for example, if I want to mention something in 2021. We have the opportunity to see Vitalik Buterin in Argentina. He tried Argentina for the first anniversary of the Graph Network. That was an event that has a lot of repercussion. He returned last year to understand why we have this adoption, okay? We have many events last year in Latin America and in Argentina, for example. In Latam, for example, the Polka the Code, for example, hackathons, academies, a lot of things. And I think Latin America now is a focus for different blockchain, not only Ethereum. We are a focus, and Buenos Aires a main focus.
The GRTiQ podcast is made possible by a generous grant from the Graph Foundation. The Graph Grants program provides support for protocol infrastructure, tooling, gaps, subgraphs, and community building efforts. Learn more at thegraph.foundation. That's thegraph.foundation.
Hi, this is GRTiQ, and thank you for listening. Listeners who enjoy this content can help support the GRTiQ podcast by leaving a review or a 5-star rating wherever they download podcasts, by sharing episodes on social media, or by simply telling a friend or colleague about something they heard or learned from one of our guests. It's support from listeners like you that make it possible for us to keep shining a light on the people and stories behind Web3 and the Graph. So let's go back in time. You mentioned that you first got interested or involved in the industry during the pandemic. So that's March 2020-ish. But when did you first become aware of crypto, and what were some of your initial thoughts?
During the pandemic, as a lawyer, we have a lot of work, companies were destroyed. But at the same time, we have a situation in Argentina that we cannot move. So I have a lot of time. And I start learning about many things. I start learning. I discover 2 courses of Federico Ast. He's an Argentinian. He has a project called Kleros. There is decentralized justice court, decentralized court. Okay. So I start learning a lot about Kleros, about blockchain. And they have a course called The Lawyer of the Blockchain, something like that. And start in blockchain because of Kleros. And after that, I start learning many things about blockchain, many things about Ethereum, and try to be more involved. And that's, yes, I learned a lot in few time.
What was it about learning about blockchain that pulled you in? Why were you interested?
Well, my first step, because when I started learning about Kleros, I say, okay, that is great. And I say, that could be a good opportunity to change the system. So when I start learning about blockchain, say, that will have some solution for many of the problems that we have. So that is why I started learning. This is, in my opinion, was a change of the system. I still think in that the blockchain system or crypto industry could change the traditional ecosystem.
So what happened next? You start learning about blockchain. You're interested in how that technology could address issues with the system. But eventually you find yourself at the Graph and you're highly involved within the community. What was the path you took to get to where you are now?
I started learning in July, and then in October, when I read some paper, I say, oh, there is a testnet curator program of the Graph. I say, what is the Graph? I start learning. I say, wow, this is great. And applied for the curator program, the testnet curator program, and I was accepted. I say, wow. For me, it was a level of difficulty very, very high. But say, okay, I try to do it because I didn't understand many things. I start translating talks. I say, okay, I need to understand that. And I start translating for me and for other people from the community. Say, okay, I need this. I need to understand this. And I keep in the curation program. And after I say, okay, we need a community in Spanish because we are many people that we cannot understand this. And we need to have in Spanish. And so I create the Spanish community. I create a Twitter for a Spanish community, and we working on that. So what at the first time because of my needs, but after that because I see that I not was the only person with this same in the same situation. We were a lot of people in the same situation. That is, I collaborate with many people, very interesting people. Okay, and that is why I'm very happy. I'm very proud to continue the program, and after that, well, I'm here.
How did you first become aware of the Curator program then? What was the first introduction you had to the graph?
Well, I see the medium. I saw the medium, say, okay, I try to understand this. It's very complex. It's very complex for me. It's very complex for me. I cannot do that. I try to read. Okay, I will translate it. I translate it. I say, okay, maybe I can apply. And then I was selected. For me, that was, wow, they are doing something wrong because I'm not a technical. I said, well, I joined to the Discord. Hey, I'm not a technical. Don't worry. Okay. I keep continuing, say, okay, I think this is a great opportunity. One point that was very, very incredible for me, that when I start reading what the graph is, I say, it's an indexing protocol. People say, this is the Google of Web3. What is this, the Google of Web3? So I started learning about that. I say, wow, this is incredible. This is incredible that the data, you can index in that, you can index data, but you keep the own or your data. That is so amazing. That is why I'm here. I'm very proud to be here. Really, really, really. I say I survived to the curation program. Yes.
Are you still a curator at the graph, or do you now just focus on community building?
No, I'm community building. Of course, I'm a delegator, but I should keep being curator, but was really very difficult for me.
What do you tell your family about why you're interested in crypto? I'm sure they ask questions about what you're doing on the weekends and the evenings and all the time you're putting into this. What do you tell them?
Well, my family understands that I'm passionate about this ecosystem, about crypto, and I will continue to do it. Some people are more interested in blockchain or crypto than others. But when I tell them about what the graph is or what the ecosystem is, I try to explain in the same way that when I talk with people from the community, or when I go to an event and try to talk and I be at the booth, I explain the same way. But sometimes it's difficult to understand because I travel, I pass a lot of time in the events, not only the events, in the calls I mentioned before. So it's difficult, but they try to understand. And for me, it's important that, and for me, it's important that people understand and my family understand that this is the future. That is some important thing.
Why did you settle on working on community building at the graph? There's obviously a lot of projects in Web3. You mentioned a few that are based or have a strong presence in Buenos Aires, but yet you've devoted most of your time and your efforts to the graph. Why the graph?
Well, as I mentioned before, the graph is a protocol. It's more than a protocol. Now it's an ecosystem. There is not a protocol in one blockchain. There is, in general, it's a tool that the 70% of the dev use, in Web3. We need that more people in Web3 nodes and people from Web2 knows about the graph. That is why I'm here. That is why I'm doing what I do. I try to not only devs, because devs is final user. Now they are final user, but companies will use with Substream. Companies or final user, and like me, for example, with Shio or with the news optional Substream, that I don't have to create a query with code to try to have the information. That is why I'm doing this, because for me, the graph is not only a project. It's a necessity. It's a tool that the ecosystem needs. So we need to inform people that what the graph is if they don't know. But most people know what the graph is, and most people use that. When I talk with devs, why do you use the graph? Because we need the graph. We reduce time of query, and I need the information. I go there, I take the information, and it's a fraction of time. That is why we need to inform that. For that reason, I'm very focused on the graph.
What does it say about the graph community? And maybe this is more about Web3 generally, that someone like yourself with a background in law, don't have any technical background, don't even have necessarily an interest in becoming, a technical professional, but yet there's a place for you. You can join the community and you can begin contributing. What does that say about Web3?
Well, Web3 is decentralization, okay? For me, the Web3 is only one word, decentralization. When you understand that you don't need Amazon, you don't need Google, you don't need these big companies, and you can have the same thing and more than that thing without have these big companies, that is Web3. That is my focus, to try to explain people how they can participate into Web3. And that is the main role of Advocate, to be more people engaging Web3, not only in the graph, but in Web3, and try to spread what the Web3 is, try to spread the graph is. That is the main objective. This is my idea and my objective in Web3.
So Lorena, as I track your story and development within Web3, the pandemic starts, you have more free time, you decide to start learning about blockchain. One thing leads to another. You learn about the graph, you enter the curator program, go through that experience, and then come out the other side, launching the Spanish community for the graph and becoming a community leader, not only for the Spanish community, but you also join Graph Advocates and work in Graph AdvocatesDAO. I want to ask you about the Spanish community. What can you share with listeners about the Spanish community within the graph?
Well, the Spanish community is an heterogeneous, I don't know if that's the word, because we have indexer, we have curator, we have delegators. So people with different interests and different technical levels. That is important. So that's sometimes you can say, okay, this is not good. Yes, it's great because technical people can teach not technical people. Not technical people can ask for technical people and say, okay, I need this. Okay, technical, say, hey, you are a technical guy. Could you help me with this? Okay, and it's a good opportunity to be different people to talk and to be involved in the same ecosystem. Related with that, when we organize events, we have this focus, very focused, because many times we organize workshops in addition of community talk for the community in Spanish. So we have these two part of the event for technical and for not technical. And this is important, okay, to try to organize that kind of event that can support different kind of people. And it's very important for the ecosystem to try to not focus on one kind of person or what kind of target, but focus on technical and not technical. That is my opinion, of course.
What are some of the projects or initiatives that the Spanish community are pursuing right now or working on?
Okay, well, December we give with the AdvocateDAO, we give a grant to some advocates that work together with an indexer, and they organize a bootcamp to the graph from zero, okay? So many participants learn how to delegate and how to use the protocol, how to use subgraph query, how to do that. Last Saturday, an advocate, Jorgelina, gave a talk about the graph in an important city near to Buenos Aires, Rosario. That was the focus of this year is organize different events, workshops, and boot camps in different countries in Latin America. We will have events in Uruguay, Brazil, Argentina, because we will have it in Argentina with more than 5,000 people. So we will have an event, a presentation, and many things. Peru, Colombia, Mexico, many countries in this year. So the idea is to increase the community and engage more the Spanish community. And with this, the focus of this year is building community and have more technical workshop, okay? Try to engage more people from Web 2, more devs from Web 2, because we have many devs from Web 3. We need to do this onboarding to Web 3. We can learn together. That is the idea. Try to explain what the subgraph, how they can use the tools, provided by the protocol, substream, subgraph, and many things that we have and we have in the near future.
Do you think the industry is doing a good job inviting people from Latin America to get involved and contribute?
Well, I like you mentioned industry. You mentioned industry. Not many people talk about industry, about crypto, because in my opinion, crypto, as I mentioned before, is an industry. We have to analyze it from that side. Every industry needs different services and professionals to develop the industry. So regarding LATAM, I see two different issues. People that, as we mentioned before, people adopt crypto because the necessity, this is the big reality. And in addition of that, we have many people that are working on crypto industry as an alternative of traditional industry, or because they are interested in the new technologies. So it's a good opportunity for the industry to have more people involved. That is, I see, of course, needs, as I mentioned, because they need money and save money. But we need to focus on people that maybe they want to have more than save money. We need, this is very important focus, yes.
What about translation issues? I know that not every publication within the graph, every blog post or Medium post, the different things aren't translated into Spanish, but you've stepped up, and so has the Spanish community, to make those resources available. Is translation and being able to read important documents about the graph in Spanish a barrier for people being more involved, not only in the graph, but maybe the industry more broadly?
In general, the language is the first barrier. We have in Latin America another region, not only Latin America. We are talking about Latin America because we speak Spanish, and Brazil speaks Portuguese for people that are not from our region. But in Latin America, not the most people don't speak English. But the other barrier that we have is not only the docs are in English, but they are super technical and complicated language. So we should say that we need to find way to explain in a colloquial way the things. For example, WAGMI. What is WAGMI? LOL. What is LOL? Friend. Okay. So a person that wants to say, okay, I want to try to understand what is WAGMI. Go to the Google. What is WAGMI? I say, what is this? I don't understand. These acronyms or misspelling word have to be explained. It's very difficult. It's very complicated. It's a very complicated part of the language. But this is the bad things of the industry. But the good things is that the industry has realized that and provides support for people and to lower those barriers. Okay, so the support that the industry gave us for all of us that collaborate with translation is incredible. That is important. And this is a great opportunity to start working more actively in the ecosystem. Related with the graph, many advocates already translated the graph protocol docs and are working on translate everything into Spanish. So this is important to know. It's not only in Spanish, in Hindi and Chinese, Portuguese, and many languages. That is very important that the graph know that the first barrier for me is the most important barrier. The first barrier is the language. So try to say this to lower the barrier is the first step to try to engage more people.
One of the criticisms of Web 2 and traditional technology industries is there aren't enough women. There aren't enough women leaders. Based on your experience in Web 3 and in crypto, do you think there's more opportunities and more representation of women within the industry?
The industry is still a niche industry. I don't see issue with being a woman in general. Gender doesn't matter, age doesn't matter, location doesn't matter. Just contribution and be a good contributor is good. Although I see there are still biases because there are few women in technical women. If you do a workshop, maybe you see 30 men and 3 or 4 women devs. It's a real thing. And the other thing that I see is few women in C-level position. That is true. Okay. But on the other hand, the graph is an example of different thing because one of the co-founder is Tegan Klein. The director of the Graph Foundation is Eva Bailey. So there is a lot of great women in the graph ecosystem. So the graph is a good example of what should do for the future, okay? We have Cristina, and the director of AdvocateDAO. We have Dream, and we have many women, very important women. So that is very important. And we need to say that, okay? Because many people say, okay, crypto is like other industry. We don't have many technical, but in many protocol and many ecosystems, there are many women. We show that. Hi, this is Lorena with the Graph Espanol. If my conversation with the GRTiQ podcast has been helpful to you, then please consider supporting future episodes by becoming a subscriber. Visit grtiq.com/podcast for more information. That's grtiq.com/podcast.
GRTiQ podcast.
Thanks for listening.
For listeners that want to learn more about the Spanish community, follow the work and different things, what's the best way for them to connect?
If you want to be more connected, you can follow on Twitter, Espanol Graph, and you can join to the Telegram group. The Graph Espanol is Telegram, and you can join for the M&A. You can join to the events in person that we organize, and you can talk with any of the advocates and join to the community because we are open from all the Latin America people. Okay, so no, it's true. We need more people. We need more advocates. We need that is a good opportunity. If you know the protocol and want to be more involved into the community, you can apply for the advocate program too, to be more compromised with the protocol and with the ecosystem.
So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about your experience in Graph AdvocatesDAO and as a Graph advocate. It's very clear that you've been an advocate long before Advocates launched. But what was your interest in joining Advocates and becoming a Graph advocate?
Well, good question. Last year, I suppose it was last year, we talked about create something that more important thing that communities. And at the first time I say, okay, I am able to collaborate and to have more people involved. And after that, I should say that the advocate, the DAO, the Graph AdvocatesDAO was created 1 year ago. The main objective of the DAO is to support the advocate program. The other objective is to give community grants. But to do that, we have a lot of work, okay? A lot of work with administrative work, with members, relationship between members, relationship with advocates, onboard new advocate, the advocate has the same idea, different thinking, different interested, but with the one mission, and try to keep in mind the mission of the DAO. And it's difficult. It's very difficult, but I'm very happy to have the opportunity to be part of this. And try to do my best thing. Okay, I try to do my best every day to support the DAO and to have more advocate. For me, the main objective is to have more advocate, because more advocate, that means more engagement, more community, more knowledge about what the Web3 is.
What have you learned about DAOs as a result of working on Graph AdvocatesDAO?
Well, my first thinking is DAO are organization, okay? And they are made by people. So they have the same difficulties than other organizations because we are people. We are feeling, we are moods, we think different. So we should understand that this is very difficult sometimes to understand. And they think that because the DAO is a decentralized organization, is not organization. It's the same as traditional organization. Of course, sometimes different, but people are people, okay? And it's very important collaborate, okay? The times of collaboration is important. The working, try to work and try to keep the mission in mind and try to understand that we are people and we try to work together. That is, for me, the most important and try to achieve the DAO mission.
What have you learned about the Graph community? You've met all these advocates all over the world. You're super involved in the DAO. You're a Graph advocate yourself. What have you learned about the Graph and its community by virtue of working in the DAO and in the Advocates program?
Well, one point that is important to understand is we are from different regions, with different countries, with different thinking. Communities around the world are different. They have different characteristics and ways of working. We try to understand that this is a challenge. We are different, okay? We try to understand and try to listen and adapt to the different realities of the different regions. And of course, always keeping the pillars of the Graph ecosystem, but we should understand that we are different. And if we want to change how the community is, they will be wrong because we will have problems, okay? That is true. We need to listen so that we should hear, we should listen what communities say and what people say before try to change the idea of the community hub. That is important for me.
Lorena, as part of your work as an advocate, you've taken part in a lot of events. You had that incredible first birthday celebration that you talked about earlier. You were at Graph Day and Graph Hack. Most recently, you joined ETH Denver, and I'm sure there's a whole bunch in between. I want to go back to that first birthday celebration. You mentioned that Vitalik came there, and it became national news in Argentina. Can you just tell us what that experience was like for you, from planning an event to seeing it in all the newspapers the next day?
Yes, it was incredible. When Vitalik visited Argentina, I had the opportunity to talk with him. The repercussion of the Vitalik visit was incredible. People from around the world, newspapers from around the world, calling me, I need to talk with him. Wait. Was incredible for us. Was an honor to have Vitalik in the anniversary of the Graph. But what impressed me after I recovering to being at the Vitalik at the Graph anniversary of course, was that he knows very well about what the Graph is and what the Graph means for scaling the Ethereum. That was impressive for me because I say, okay, he's very involved. And we discussed some point, the AIP. That was impressed me because he was very, very involved. And he was there because he wants to be there and he wants to know and talk about the Graph, okay, with other people there. That is, for me, was incredible to have Vitalik first visit in Argentina and in the Graph. Yes, great.
What is your advice to listeners who want to start getting involved more with the Graph, but they're nervous to do it because, like you, they have a full-time job, and like you, they don't have a technical background, but yet you've done it and you've been successful within the community? What's your advice to them?
Okay, well, I try to, when I do something, I don't want to say I do something. We do something, okay? So I always try to make sure that the community is part of everything we do. For example, an in-person event, we seek to involve advocates, we seek to involve the community, the local community. An online MIA event, I try to invite people to talk, even they are not part of the speaker. Okay, something, do you want to say something? Come on, please talk. With respect, we can talk. So if anyone wants to start organizing events, they have to try to work with a team, with people that they can work, and with the support of the community, any community group. And in any community, we have groups, so we can have the support. And other things that are important to me before do anything is to explain what you are going to do, how you are going to do it. What is the objective of the event? Why would you like to do that? What is the target audience? Because you should know, if you want to have devs, you don't have to talk about what the blockchain is. You should organize more a complex event, okay? You have to answer several questions before you start the event, before organizing. You should be clear about exactly what to do. Of course, we think in something, and maybe the production or the event is other, okay? But you should be clear. Try to understand before and then start working. That is important. Of course, working, as I mentioned before, working with the community.
What makes you optimistic about the future of the graph?
For me, as I mentioned, the graph as an decentralized indexing protocol is, how can I say, a core tool. It's a core part of the ecosystem. We need the graph to the ecosystem work in an easy way, because the user are not only devs, now are devs, but in the future will not be only devs. So for me, the most important tool of the Web3, when we are focused on that, we say, okay, we have to work for that, and we have to work to more people know what the graph is and how us can use the graph. We should understand that the graph is, for me, it's an essential part of the ecosystem. We need this kind of protocol to Web3 keep working, okay? And to, of course, to reduce time, but not to reduce time, to reduce work and to facilitate the final user. So for me is the graph and the rest of the protocols. And is true. That is my idea.
Lorena, now we've reached a point where I'm going to ask you the GRTiQ 10. These are 10 questions I ask each guest of the podcast every week. And I do it so that listeners can learn something new, try something different, or achieve more in their own lives. So are you ready for the GRTiQ 10?
Of course.
The GRTiQ 10.
10 questions for astronauts floating in space.
What book or article has had the most impact on your life?
Well, I can choose just one because I read a lot. And for example, articles about futarchy are in English, and new ways to voting in the ecosystem are very interesting concepts. So DAO, governance, and this is, for me, is the future. We need to solve this situation. And all articles related with that are very important for me.
Is there a movie or a TV show that you think everybody should be required to watch?
I'm not a TV fan, so I can't give you my opinion.
If you could only listen to one music album for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
I love Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen. I love Bohemian Rhapsody. That would be a good option for me.
What's the best advice someone's ever given to you?
Listen more and talk less. And it's true.
What's one thing you've learned in your life that you don't think most other people know or have learned yet?
Carpe diem, I don't know in English, seize the days, yes. But work hard on what you want to achieve, okay? Because it's not only carpe diem. You should work and work and work.
What's the best life hack you've discovered for yourself?
Everything requires effort. Even if you don't have the will, sit down and work. Work and work. That is my focus, work.
Based on your own life experiences and observations, what is the one habit or characteristic that you think best explains why people find success in life?
Many people say they are lucky. For me, it's not lucky. I think it's perseverance. Okay, work hard to achieve the goal. That is most important thing.
And then the final 3 questions are complete the sentence type questions. The first one is, the thing that most excites me about Web3 is?
Change the paradigm. Yes.
And how about this one? If you're on Twitter, then you should be following
the Graph protocol, of course.
And lastly, I'm happiest when?
I learn new things.
The GRTiQ 10.
After this, I show you how
Lorena, thank you so much for your time. You've been very generous in talking about your own journey into the Graph ecosystem. And I think your story will be inspirational to a lot of people exploring how they can get more involved in the types of things they can do to contribute. If listeners want to learn more about you, follow you, and the work that you're doing, what's the best way for them to stay in touch?
Thank you so much. You can say, follow me in Twitter in Blogshare and Telegram Blogshare, or if not, go to the Telegram, the Graph Espanol, and say, hi, Lorena, I want to contact you, and then we can talk.
This has been a production of the GRTiQ podcast. For more information, including detailed show notes, visit grtiq.com/podcast. That's grtiq.com/podcast.
Please consider contributing to this project and helping build the community by subscribing and leaving a review. GRTiQ Podcast.